Alright guys, quickly I want to mention, if you came here for a reason other than fully installing H2M from start to finish, go in the description. There will be timestamps that allows you to click around to various parts of the video that suit your needs. Alright guys, this is going to be a no-nonsense tutorial on how to install H2M, how to do so safely, how to overcome some errors you might get along the way, and settings you're going to want to change once you start playing the game. This won't be read off a script, and I'm going to do this in one take, so expect some hiccups along the way, but I'm going to try to make it short and sweet. Alright, first click on one of the top two links in the description. There you'll find a site that looks like this, and this is the file we're going to install. This file has the Modern Warfare Remastered game files and the H2M mod files. It takes up about 120 gigabytes of free space, and after extracting it, it'll take up about another 120 gigs. So before doing any of this, I'd recommend having about 250 gigabytes of free space. You can check this by going to your File Explorer, this PC, and check your C drive or whatever drive you happen to have installed, and make sure you have at least 250 gigabytes. I've already installed this file, so I don't have that, but that's okay. Alright, at this point you're going to have this in your downloads folder. If you don't have 7-zip or WinRAR installed already, go ahead and download it in the link in the description. You can tell if you have it installed by right clicking on it, and it should have 7-zip or WinRAR here. If you don't, go ahead and download it now. Once you do so, you can right click on it, go ahead and extract to, and make sure it's the name of the folder. This is going to take quite a while, it's quite a large file, so once you're done, go ahead and resume the video. Alright, really quickly while we wait for that to finish extracting, go into the Discord link in the description and join this Horizon Modern Warfare server, formerly known as H2M. Here's the largest H2M community where you can connect with people, get updates, and most importantly, safe links for download. As of now, they don't really have anything to download, but going forward, I believe they'll be pushing out a lot more updates. I should probably also mention that there are multiple parts to the H2M download. If you use the link in the description, it'll come with all these parts. If not, you're going to need multiple things, including the game files, the maps, including the campaign remastered maps if you would like to play those. Those are maps that have never been seen before in COD. They were made by the H2M devs, and they're completely separate from the original Modern Warfare Remastered game. You're also going to need the patched executable file, which didn't originally come with H2M, and many H2M downloads don't come with. They basically give you access to use a server browser like this without needing to manually add the IP addresses yourself. Alright, once the game's done extracting, it should look something like this. It'll create a folder with the same name as the file minus the extension. When you click through, there'll be another folder. This one's your game directory. It's going to have all your Modern Warfare Remastered files along with the H2M launcher. Before you do anything, I encourage you to move this folder elsewhere besides the downloads folder. For most of you, that should be your Steam folder, and you can access that by going to your C drive, Programs File 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common. Go ahead and drag the folder in here. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and click through to your folder and launch the H2M mod.exe. Alright, once the game launches, it's going to launch this Windows Firewall window. Make sure you go ahead and hit Allow Access. You go ahead and full screen this and select which input you normally use. Now if yours looks like this, where you can see your taskbar and window here at the top, go ahead and Options, Graphics, Video, go ahead and change that to full screen. Alright, now you're in the game. Without getting into any settings, you can go ahead and play online, find match, and all the servers are going to be here for you. If you try to join a server without changing your name, it'll look something like this. Go ahead and exit out of that, and we're going to go ahead and change your name now. Go to Personalization, Name, and change it to whatever you'd like. I'm going to change mine to Clarington, because that's my name. And now we should be able to go find a new match. And just like that, we're in the game. Go ahead and back out so we can fix your settings. Alright, once we're in the game, we'll go ahead and modify some settings. Go to your Options, Graphics, and in Display, the only thing you might want to change is disable splashes and enable your FPS counter if you want to track that. Next, go to your video, and make sure you're in full screen. If you're not in full screen, I'll show you what happens. You'll notice here, I can't change my refresh rate and it's locked. My monitor is actually 165 Hz, but there's nothing I can do about it. In order to change that, just go to full screen, and now I can change it. Here you can move around your FOV as you like. One thing to mention is that once you go past a certain point, it stops working. So realistically, this is like the max it'll go. And once you go past that, it'll start causing some issues. Any setting that says cache shaders, anything of the sort, make sure that's disabled. You can go through here and play with your settings. It'll be different for every computer. Alright, now let's go into controls. If you're a controller player, make sure this gamepad is enabled. If it's disabled, your controller will not work at all. Some people were complaining about the game feeling a bit weird for controller players. Part of that reason is the default settings for your controller, which I've already changed, are a little bit weird. You want to make sure that you follow me. First, change your min stick dead zone all the way down to minimum, and put your max maybe 1 or 2 ticks over that. Now go into a game like a private match or anything of the sort and test it out. If it feels too sensitive or your drift stick is just naturally moving your right stick, you want to turn this up until that goes away. One important thing is always make sure your min dead zone is as low as possible and below the max dead zone. Button dead zone and these stick press settings here are mainly preference, and they don't have the effect that dead zone does. Another thing is, aim assist is very strong in this game. Maybe arguably too strong, and a lot of people feel that way. I encourage you to maybe try disabling 1 or 2 of these settings just to see if that feels a little bit better, but for most people, keep both of these on. One more note, if you use a PlayStation controller, you'll need to use DS4 Windows. Also, you'll need to close out of the Steam application entirely. I would encourage you to do so by going to your task manager and closing it. You might have to scroll down and find it down here. It'll be alphabetically, so you can go ahead and do that, and that should fix the issue. Alright, now let's go over some of the settings. You'll see my FPS in the top left, and it's capped at 30. I would like to uncap it, or maybe even cap it to my monitor's refresh rate. I could do so by clicking the tilde or backtick key. If you click the tilde key, it'll open your full console like this. If you click the backtick key, it'll just open it in the top left like this. Now we can cap the FPS by typing this command, which will be in the description, and I'm going to cap it to my monitor's refresh rate, which is 165. And as you can see in the top left, it updates. Now let's say I want to uncap my frames. Same command, but we're going to set it to 0. And now you'll see I have an uncapped FPS. I would encourage everyone just to cap it at your monitor's refresh rate, but it's mainly preference. Alright, another command is for the FOV. You can type this command, which will also be in the description, and I'm going to put mine to the max, which is 120. And just like that, the FOV is changed. There will be various other commands in the description that you can use, but those are the 2 most important ones and the ones that most people are going to need. Alright, the main part of the video is over. Now if you'd like to set up your server, you can go ahead and follow the rest of the video. If not, feel free to close out and enjoy playing the game. Alright, if you go to the link in the description for my GitHub, you'll come to this page here. Just go ahead and click the code button in the top right and download a zip. Now open up your downloads folder. Go ahead and extract it the same way we did before with the game files. And it'll create this folder here. Now go ahead and open up a separate file explorer like this and drag them side by side. In this right file explorer, go ahead and navigate to your game directory. In my case it's in downloads, but yours should be in a separate folder. These 2 server default files, you want to go ahead and just drag them in the directory here. You can drag them anywhere, but make sure it's not in a folder. As you can see here, it'll say move to players 2, or it'll say the name of the folder. Here you'll notice it says move to Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. For this user scripts folder, you want to go ahead and drag that in this H2M mod folder. Once you click through, you should go ahead and see this, and you'll have a bots.gsc file in there. Alright, once you've drugged this in, let's go ahead and open up server default.config. And here you can change the name of this server, which I just have done. Feel free to go ahead and do that now. Here you can read through the description of each command and see what they do, and you can change them as you like. For example, this one is XP. I'll go ahead and change it to 2, so it's double XP. If you want to make your server private so nobody else can join, or only people with the password can join, go ahead and change this to something random. If you want it to be a public server, go ahead and just leave that blank like that. But I'm going to make it private for now. Also, if you would like your server to have less than 18 people, which it is by default, like this, go ahead and change it to whatever number you'd like. I'm going to do 6 as an example. I'm not going to make really too many modifications for the sake of the video, but here you can kind of change how the settings are in each mode. If you only want to have one mode, you can kind of delete them all besides the one mode settings that you're going to use. But for now, we're just going to skip past these. Here's the name of the game modes and the name of the maps. You'll need these for when you're customizing which maps and modes run on your server. I'm just going to run one map so we know it worked. I'm going to go ahead and delete all this. And just like that, it's just going to run a team deathmatch on Rust. We know that because there's a game type, war. Up here we can check war, team deathmatch, and the map MP Rust. You can see here MP Rust. One important thing you'll have to change is this Archon password. It's going to be more important later on, but for now just change it to something you'll remember. I'm going to do this one as an example. Alright, now we can go ahead and save. Just like that, I already saved, so it's grayed out. And we can close out of this. Now go ahead and launch your bat file. Alright, so in order to join your own server, you're going to have to connect to it manually, since we haven't set it up to be on the server browser yet. So in order to do this, we're going to go back to our files. You're going to go to the server.bat file, edit, and this is the port you're going to want to copy. By default, it's always 27016, so we'll go ahead and copy that. Open up your command prompt by typing CMD in your window like this. It'll bring up a command prompt like this. Type ipconfig. Scroll up. This is your local IP address. You want to copy that. Alright, now you want to open up the console by pressing the tilde key or the backtick key. Type connect. Paste that IP we just put in there, and then put a colon with the port we just talked about in the bat file. If you hit connect, it should put you in the server like this. And I forgot to mention, since we put a password on it, if you want to do the same, first in the console, you want to type password plus your password, like that, and then you can go ahead and connect to it. And just like that, we're in a game, and there's 6 people, just like we modified in the config file. Alright, this is me recording after the whole video. I forgot to mention one part. When you first get into your server, you want to type !owner like this. Now I've already done it, so it's not going to recognize it, and I disabled having multiple owners. But you'll type that, and it'll tell you that you're now owning the server. And to get your initial credentials to log in on the web UI, which we'll go over later on in the video, type !RT in chat, and it'll give you those temporary login tokens that you can use, and I'll explain that a little bit more later on in the video. And just like that, that's it. As you can see in the bottom of the screen, there's an XP bar there. You do get progression even on your local servers like this, so you can level up if you don't want to play online. Now if that's all you wanted to do is make your own local server, you can go ahead and end the video now. If you'd like to make your server public so anyone else can join, we're going to go ahead and do that part now. The first thing I should mention about hosting a server publicly that's joinable through the browser is you'll need access to your router config settings. This is usually done by logging in through the browser via a local IP of some sort, and then using a username and password associated with the router. If you don't have access to these router config settings, like if your parents have them and don't want to give them to you, or you're at a university or an apartment building, there's no way you could host a server locally so that people can join it. Now you could host a server and allow your friends to join through something called, I believe it's Radmin VPN. Check the description, I'll post a video that shows you how to do that. Alright, now if you have successfully figured out how to configure your router so that you could log in and enable port forwarding, now I can show you how to enable it on your computer. First, go to your settings, network and internet, Windows firewall, advanced settings, yes, and we'll need to make 2 rules 2 for inbound and 2 for outbound. So go ahead and click on inbound, click new rule, select port. Now we're going to do a range of ports rather, from 27016 to 27020, and this will be for TCP. So go ahead and hit next, allow connection, and we'll go ahead and name it something that we'll remember and be able to identify. We'll do H2M TCP-N. Go ahead and hit finish. I already have all these rules, so I'm going to hit cancel on all these, but if you hit finish, it'll add it. For the next one, we're still on inbound rule. Go ahead and hit new rule, port. We're going to do the same exact range. And we're going to do UDP this time. And go ahead and name it the same naming convention. Just like that, and hit finish. Now we're going to do the same exact rules for outbound. Now this will default to block, so just go ahead and hit allow. And we're going to name it the same thing but without. Alright, now the very last one, make sure you change it to UDP. Click allow. I think this is how we named them all. I might have messed up on one of those. Alright, you'll hit finish. I'm going to hit cancel. And now that's it. Go ahead and close that out. Alright, if you follow the link in the description for the IW4M admin, it'll take you to this download page. Here, you want to download the pre-release. It's going to look a little hidden, but it's going to say assets here. You click that, it's a drop down. Go ahead and download the IW4M admin.zip. Do not download the source code. And go ahead and add that to your download folder. Now here again, you're going to want to put this in a directory that you're going to remember. And following the advice of the IW4M admin wiki, you want to put this in your AppData folder. I'll have the directory in the description, but it's going to look like this. C drive, users, whatever your username is. Mine is user in this case. AppData, local, and then in this folder here. And if you go there, I already have it installed. It's going to look like this. For now, I'm going to keep it in the downloads folder so I don't overwrite my own. But keep in mind, you want to put yours in a place that you'll remember. Alright, once you've done that, let's go into the folder here. You're going to see a bunch of things, and what you want to do is just start this top one here, the CMD. It's going to walk you through it. Just follow the same answers that I select for now. Go ahead and hit yes for the web front, no for the multiple owners. This one's completely optional. I'm going to do no for now. This one you can't do yet on H2M, so select no. Going to do no for profanity, and then you're going to want to wait. Now you go through a list here for your parser. You want to select 6. I do believe if you don't have your server open still, you might get an error message. So before you do this, actually you want to make sure your server is still running, and if you already closed it, just go ahead and run that server default.bat file that's within your game directory again. And here, like I said, 6 is for H2M mod parser, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And automatically determine your server IP, select yes. And just hit the enter button so it uses default. Now here's where you want to use that Archon password that we talked about earlier. If you don't remember it, just go ahead back in your game directory. Right click the config file. And as I see here, I got this password. So we're going to copy that and paste that into there. You want to make sure they're the same password. And right now we're only doing one server. If you do multiple servers, you can go ahead and select yes, but for now let's just do one. And now we're going to wait until it connects to our server. Alright, once it's saying IW4M admin is up to date, that's how you know it worked. Now we can go ahead and view our server. Now let's go ahead and launch the game. Alright, now let's find our server in the browser. Always sort by ping. As you can see here, we're sorting by ping because you'll always see yours at the top. It's now on the browser, so we don't have to connect to it through the IP anymore. Now if you want your friends to be able to join it, or you want to send it to somebody like in a Discord server so that they can join you, you can send them your IP and port. Now your IP and port isn't the same as the one in the config file from earlier when we were initializing it in IW4M admin, but you can find it on this website here. It's this master IW4 servers list. You go to the H2M tab and you can go ahead and Control F and search the name of your server. In my case it's Clarington YouTube server. You can see it's here. If you click on the play button here, it'll give you the command that people need to type into their console to join your server. So if we go back into the game and we go into our console, you can paste that command in there and it should let you join. Now remember, ours is password protected, so I would recommend taking that password off so anybody can join. Now you can see on the left there, IW4M admin is showing messages on the left. It'll say where people are from, how many times they've connected, and you can modify this in the configuration files, which I'll show you in a little bit. But that's it. Now people can join your server. Now I'm going to show you how to configure specific parts of your server, but before you ask any questions, I highly recommend going to IW4M admin's GitHub and going to their wiki. There's all the information you could possibly know, as well as 2 videos in the FAQ section where you can follow them step by step. Now you want to make sure your server is running and your IW4M admin is also running. And once that's done, go into your browser and type in this IP, which will also be in the description, and this will take you to your web page for your server on IW4M admin. It'll show all the people in the server. Right now it's just bots. It'll show things like the maximum number of real players today, the total number of clients today, which includes bots. And on the left here, there's more information, like if you go to the help, all the commands you could possibly need. If you have multiple servers, they'll appear here. These socials here you can configure in your IW4M admin configuration files and include your own socials. You can go into the console and type in commands for the server when you're not actually in the game. And when you do this, you actually won't be logged in initially. Go into your IW4M admin console window here and type !RT. This will show you a temporary login. This will be your password, and this client ID will be your number. Now every time you try to select anything, you'll stay logged in, but once you click off to another section, it'll log you out again. To permanently set your password, go ahead and type SP, !SP, and whatever password you like. Now you can't make it too short, you need at least 5 characters long. So you want to type SP, test, and then type in your password, whatever you want it to be. I already have one set, so I'm not going to do that. But once you do that, you can then log in with that password and this same ID. This ID will never change, and it'll keep you permanently logged in. Alright, now let's go into our IW4M admin. Alright, now let's go into our IW4M admin folder. Remember, mine's in downloads. Yours should probably be in your AppData folder. So once you go in there, go to your configuration folder. And these are all the different configuration files you could possibly use. The main one we're going to use right now is the admin settings one. Go ahead and open that up. Now here are the socials I was talking about before. If we go ahead and change it to something random like hi YouTube, and we could just set it to something like google.com just for now. Now you would put your actual GitHub or YouTube or Discord and the actual link there, and you can actually set an icon for it here. I'm just going to go ahead and save that for now. Now go ahead and close your IW4M admin window and reopen it like I'm doing now. I just did that off screen there. Now you're going to want to close your IW4M admin window and reopen it. Alright, now once that's running, we can go ahead and refresh the page. Alright, you'll see here that it's now updated. It says hi YouTube, and you can see in the bottom left, it redirects you to google.com. Now I'm not going to go too deep into what settings you can change and how they work. They're pretty self-explanatory. However, the main ones you're going to want to change is default settings, IW4M admin, and possibly the welcome and stats plugin settings. The only thing you really want to change is the auto messages here, or maybe the time period. These are just automatic messages that appear throughout the game randomly. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to run multiple servers, you would change that in this admin setting. Alright, now the only thing you'd really want to change within this folder, besides your socials like I showed you up here, you have your auto messages, your global rules, any client names you don't want. Now if you want to add multiple servers like I mentioned earlier, go down here to the servers one, copy this from squiggly bracket to squiggly bracket, copy that, put a comma after the first one, hit enter to go down a line, and paste that in, and you have an exact replica of the first and second server. The only thing you're going to want to change is just the port. You can go ahead and change that to 17. I changed mine to 17 just to go in order with this one. Realistically, you could change it to anything you want, but for now I'm not going to do that, so we're just going to back out of that, save it. Now a really popular file to change is the welcome plugin settings file. Go ahead and open that up. It's just 3 messages. User announcement is for right when you join the server, and the welcome message usually follows right after. Privilege announcement message is if you're like a moderator, owner, senior administrator for the server, when you join it'll say, for example, Clarington, the senior administrator, has joined the server. Now you could have these say whatever you want, it doesn't have to follow any template, just make sure you follow the syntax properly, and I wouldn't remove any specific variable out until you know exactly what you need, and then you can go ahead and delete it outright before you save it. Alright, now that you made your changes, go ahead and close out of this. We're going to go ahead and launch back up our IW4M admin server. As you can see on the left there, I added some custom messages, and they updated, so it looks like it works.
Friendly Predator missile inbound.